Welcome to episode 12 of the Kota Capper College Football Central Show. If you're new here, welcome. If you're a multi-time viewer of the show, you'll notice that I am not Kyle. But we do have, of course, at Don Thomas Miller here with us. And, of course, Mr. Action Junkie 1 at Mr. Action Junkie 1 on Twitter. So you do have some familiar faces on the show, and they're about to carry me through the whole hour here. So we're excited, gentlemen. College football, you know, we had a lot of good games last weekend. And this week's slate, too, is very, you know, I was moving my lips getting excited for this week's slate, too, because, man, this is a good slate as well. But, gentlemen, Mr. Action Junkie, we'll start with you. How are we doing here? Week, let's see, 11 of college football. How about that? Man, it's flying.
Yeah, no doubt. It's almost sad and depressing. It's almost to the end here. But, yeah, it's been a fun, interesting season, and excited for how the things are going to go in the month of November.
Absolutely. Thomas, how we doing, man?
Yeah, I'm the same way. There's always that time when you look up and, like, whatever team you follow, they've already played 8-9 games. You're like, Jesus, man, it's already done. It's just like as soon as it starts, before you know it, it's Christmas. It's all over. It's tough, but I mean, we're in the best part of the season, so yeah, I'm doing great, man.
Yeah, absolutely. The best part of the season, just sports in general. It's a great time to be a sports bettor, right? Hockey's in it, you know, college basketball's back. Mr. Action Junkie knows that. Thomas with NBA, and then of course you have your Tuesday college football games, and brings us into Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the NFL. It's just a great time to love sports and to talk sports. So excited, gentlemen, here for today's episode. Like every show that we've done, we have the trivia question of the week, and then we'll kind of get into a little Week 10 recap. Thomas has some hot takes up there in Michigan that he wants to get off his chest, and then we'll get into the Week 11 snake draft. Obviously, it'll be a little quicker one. I did go back and look, and I think this season, gentlemen, there was another 3-player snake draft, I believe. And Action Junkie, were you part of that?
If I was, I don't remember it, to be honest.
Okay. All right.
It must have been a forgetful week for me. I must have lost money.
Yeah. So, well, we're back today, 3 of us, and we'll ready get rolling here, of course, with the trivia question. Now, like I said, if you've been here before, you know Kyle loves his trivia question. Gentlemen, mine is much easier. It's kind of betting related to this season here. So no team is undefeated against the spread this season, right? But there is an undefeated over team, and that is LSU, of course. I know a lot of you have rode at LSU a couple times in their overs, but can you guys name the best under team at this point of the season? We'll let you think about it, and then I'll throw up the ad read here. So ad read, Better Edge is a social betting marketplace that is legal in 45 states that operates like a marketplace. For example, let's use the Missouri-Georgia game last week. One person on the platform likes Missouri money line and places an order for $10 on that line. Another person on the platform likes Georgia money and places an order on the other side for $10. We have an exchange, and the winner gets the funds based on the line. Most sports books will use juice. I'm the juice man on Twitter. I love the juice, but Better Edge is great because they don't have a ton of juice here. A lot of my plays I'll be giving out today, you know, right around that minus 101, plus 101. So that's you have to love that. So, but at Better Edge, all like we said, the lines are around minus 100, plus 100 in several major sports, giving a higher payback to the users. They also have several competitions, including Battle Royale, Survivors, Chaser competitions to keep things competitive for your friends and your friend group. It also incorporates social media as well, and people can post their pics and posts on their timelines for followers to see. Go to their website, www.betteredge.com. Use promo code Kyle, Corey, Thomas, Beast, or Play Me to get $20 added to your account ASAP. They have a promo where if you go on the app and win a bet, you receive a free Better Edge hat. Gentlemen, I love hats. That's a great deal right there. All right. Well, I got you guys some time here. Thomas, we will start with you. No team is undefeated against the spread this season, but there's an undefeated over team, and that is LSU, like we mentioned. Can you name the best under team at this point of the season?
I mean, it's gotta be Iowa. Like they hit one over for sure. The Iowa State might have went over. I got 2 other teams in mind too, but like, Iowa almost seems too obvious. Like, I'm going the Air Force Academy.
The Air Force Academy. Okay. All right. Action Junkie.
I mean, Iowa's total this week is 28,
Yep.
and I'm still going to bet the under. It's tough not to go Iowa. Kent State is intriguing. I'll throw out he didn't go Iowa. I'll go Iowa. I haven't
Okay.
got one right yet this year. Let's just go Iowa.
All right. So you guys were both Iowa, or, on kind of bouncing Iowa around. Iowa's close. Iowa is tied for second to last at 2-7. You have Coastal Carolina, second to last as well, tied with Iowa. Troy, Ohio State, Syracuse, UCLA, NC State, Tulane. Those are your teams tied for second to last. But your best under team, worst over team, is the Arizona Wildcats. They've only hit 1 over this season.
Wow.
Yeah. How about that? 1 over. And I'm pulling it up right now and I'll let you know. And the funny thing is the over now, if you have a dirty mind like myself, was 69 against USC, and that did hit. They scored 84 points there. That was their only over of this season. They started out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unders at that over against USC, and now they are on a 3-game under streak. Play Colorado this week, so that's interesting, right? Colorado's kind of been whatever, but that over-under is currently 55 on Better Edge. So if you're an under guy, Arizona, baby, 1-8 to the under this season. All right, 8-1 to the under, 1-8 to the over. So there we go. A super easy, nobody got it, but it's not your in the weeds kind of trivia question that Kyle likes to throw out there, and I do appreciate them both. But that's our trivia question here for week 11. Gentlemen, Thomas, I know you are just eager to get going on our week 10 recap. Michigan, obviously there was some good games. USC falling again. The kid from Washington, I don't think he ever got touched on the field. He ran for 245 yards, a handful of touchdowns. So some solid games last week. But Thomas, we'll start with you. Anything kind of stick out to you? And what's this Michigan take that you have?
Yeah. As far as the games go from this past week, it's what you start to see when we get into the month of November. Teams who are huge dogs seem to play up. You start seeing upsets. You start seeing wherever it seems like almost every single time where last week, October, early November, we got a bunch of undefeated teams. We're we're going to have all these undefeated teams. There are only 4 spots in the playoffs. Teams start to drop off. Teams start to lose games they shouldn't. So we saw a ton of games like that this past week, a ton of good games. Like you said, Washington, USC is an all-time game. I really thought the LSU Alabama game was extremely entertaining to watch as well. And yeah, as far as my Michigan takes go, I just think it's interesting. There's been reports out that the Big Ten, not the NCAA, is gonna level some sort of sanction or come out with some sort of decision as far as discipline for Michigan. I think anybody watching this probably knows. It's been the sign stealing thing with whatever that guy's name was. If you guys know it off the top of your head, whatever his name
Stallings,
was.
right?
Yeah,
Something like that.
Stallings,
He may be the greatest mind in football, by the way.
That's true.
Allegedly. There's, it's just it's funny to think that the Big Ten would do anything, because the Big Ten wants Michigan and possibly Ohio State and or Penn State going to the playoff. So the Big Ten, they're not going to do anything. They're going to release some sort of thing. Maybe they'll suspend Harbaugh. They'll probably suspend him not this week because they play Penn State, but the week after. But then he can come back and coach against Ohio State. Not that it even matters that he's on the sideline, because their team's is great. It's just really interesting. The part of it that really grabs my interest is sign stealing is part of college football, but it's the same sort of thing that happened with the Astros, where sign stealing used to be a part of baseball too, but then the Astros started doing things that weren't really in the norm, and if you're standing there on second and you're looking in at the catcher and you got the signals, back in the day when they had to put the fingers down, now they got a little remote thing that they can do. That was just part of the game. But then the Astros started including drums and electronic things, and it seems like that's what Michigan's doing. So it's it's kind of wild, the takes for on the teams and the fans of the people in the Big Ten that aren't Michigan fans versus what Michigan fans are trying to throw out there. Things that Harbaugh didn't know about it or whatever. But you got a guy who made $55,000. He makes $55,000 a year, and he's spending $30,000 on sideline tickets, things like that. But then also the argument that if Harbaugh, who's he's a pretty organized guy, he's definitely a super manager type coach, that why would they be so sloppy, and like I don't think like I really have like an answer of like what the punishment should be, but like I think it's extremely obvious that like all this was coming down from the top. Like it's not like what Michigan fans want people to think, where it's like this guy just went rogue and he was like, look at all these signs I got, and like the higher ups at Michigan were just like, wow, that's such great work. We don't even have any idea how you did it, but yeah, thanks. You come stand on the sideline next to our coordinators or whatever. And I mean, I don't know. I'm just interested, like, what your guys' takes are on it too.
Thomas, I was going to ask you, do you think other teams are doing this? Did Michigan is the first one that got caught?
I think so. Like, people have used that. There was a Greg Schiano interview at the halftime of the Rutgers Michigan game where he said something like, "There's some stuff going on here." So I think like, I think teams kind of got wind of it, and maybe possibly, you know, since there are collusion stories now coming out that other teams were going against, like banding together to go against Michigan on it. You know, I think yeah, it started to become the norm. It is interesting that like Harbaugh, his first few years at Michigan, could not beat Ohio State. COVID year, they were terrible. And then all of a sudden, when this guy gets hired and they start doing all this, now they're like what they become, you know,
Yeah.
which is by far the better of the two super teams in the Big Ten, and one of the best teams in the nation. So
Yeah, for sure. Mr. Action Junkie, any thoughts on this? I could ask you about your Gophers too, but any thoughts on this?
Well, I don't like Brett Bielema, if you want me to know that. You know, 0-10 against him. So I'm just going to ask you a question, Thomas. Without the signs stealing, are you implying that Michigan would not be that good a football team right now? I'm just curious on that fact.
I'm saying that
they wouldn't be able to beat Ohio State the last couple of years.
I think Ohio State has tracked back, but I think the level that Michigan has dominated, like especially coming off, like, do you guys remember the COVID year? Like Harbaugh was kind of on the hot seat.
Oh yeah, he had to restructure his deal. There's no doubt about that. But
yeah,
I guess, you know, and my knowledge of this is so limited, but you know, I've laughed for years when you see these college teams holding up signs of animals and holding up signs of states. It's like, if I watch enough college football, I'm like, you're telling me a coordinator sitting in the booth can't piece some of this together too? I'm like, I feel like just watching TV, I can pick up a lot of this stuff. Now, granted, I mean, there must be an advantage, obviously, being in person to be able to do that. But hey, this Connor Stallions guy, once again, he's a genius, because you know, that's a smart person to be able to actually see the signs on the other sideline, be able to interpret exactly what that is every time in a split second. I mean, they have like 5 seconds to be able to relay this information. So he's actually good at it, but there's not a team out there that doesn't try to steal signs during the game. And you can't, I mean, you go back to the NFL, Baker Mayfield figured out the defensive play calls for the Vikings, you know, during the course of the game. This stuff happens all the time. I mean, it's a part of the game. I mean, yes. Did he go rogue, and did Michigan go rogue that they took it to another level? Of course they did, because that's against the rule now. But this wasn't even a rule until the 90s, right? And you were allowed to do this, and they changed the rule for the low budget programs that didn't want to send scouts to games. I mean, I went to high school in the 90s. We sent scouts to every single game. I mean, we sent the players to scout the game. They had to write a 1-page report on what they picked up at the game. And then all that info got disseminated in, you know, for the report for the coaches before film sessions. I mean, I guess I think Michigan's going to beat them with or without the signs. I think the talent of Michigan is that good. Yeah. Has it benefited them a little bit? Yes. But I think there's a lot of good coaches on both sidelines being able to pick up on tendencies and keys during the course of the game. You could say maybe first quarter bigger advantage, but I think Sonny Dykes said something that was intriguing a couple of weeks back when he said, hey, you know, that's why we send in false signs. You know, if you've been around long enough as a coach, the old Ricky Bobby, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? I mean, Michigan should go to the SEC and they would name them the program of the year, because they've done the best job of anybody at doing, you know, it's like Michigan. If the Big Ten does anything yet, get the heck out of here and get to the SEC, where they'll appreciate you guys wanting to win.
You're completely right about looking over at the sideline, and if you're able to interpret it and within the game, then more power to you. Every single team is looking at what the other coaches are signaling in. If your offense is on the field, and then your defensive coaches or your position coaches are looking at the signals they're trying to send in and trying to figure it out. But like when it becomes something that's not on the up and up is when you're buying tickets to these games, you're putting on a Central Michigan hat, you're using.
I'm not saying they shouldn't be penalized. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they shouldn't be penalized, but I guess I don't know. In my opinion, I just don't know how big the competitive advantage is. Is it, worth 2 plays a game that makes a big deciding factor? Maybe it is, but one of the things where you see a highlight against Ohio State where they obviously relayed what the play was. Ohio State still scored a touchdown on it, right? It still comes down to some execution too.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not saying, they deserve the death penalty or anything. It's just, whatever is going to be handed out allegedly when we're recording within the next day, is coming from the Big Ten. So it's going to be absolutely nothing, because the Big Ten isn't the authority that the NCAA is. NCAA could put you on probation. The NCAA can say, you're not going to the Big Ten championship. You're not going to a bowl game. You're not going to the playoff. The Big Ten's not going to do that, and
who knows? We have a new commissioner.
Come on. And you wouldn't take your best team out of the play. Out of the chance.
Hey, the Big Ten canceled football in 2020 when the SEC was going to play, right? So don't rule any decision in the Big Ten out.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, it's just an interesting time for Michigan and for Harbaugh. I think I saw a thing or heard a thing today from Bruce Feldman that he actually interviewed for the Minnesota Vikings job, and he had a terrible interview. That was the only reason he didn't get the job. So he's already been kind of sniffing around the NFL. I think he's gone after this year. He was already suspended 3 games. He self auto suspension 3 games for, I don't even remember what that was. It was like having practices in dark periods or whatever, or extra weightlifting or whatever. He self-suspended himself for 3 games. I think he's just tired of the NCAA, and he's going to try again in the NFL, even though it kind of ended terribly for him.
Whoa. Yeah, hey, ended terribly. It did. Jim Harbaugh's won everywhere he's been at a high level. What he did at Stanford was amazing. What he did with the 49ers was amazing. The guy's had an excellent coaching career.
It ended poorly. I'm a 49ers fan. It ended really poorly. He was at odds with Trent Baalke, and I think the last year they were like 6-10. So after going to the NFC Championship a couple times in a row, and Super Bowl once, lost Super Bowl to his brother.
So with the 49ers, you're right. He went 13-3, 11-4, 11-4-1, 12-4, and final year was 8-8. Yeah. 44-19, 69% winning percentage in the NFL. I'd hire him 10 out of 10 times if I would have been the purple.
But they said that though that he interviewed. Hold on. He had a bad interview with them. Yeah.
Supposedly, the minority owner of the Vikings, who's also a Michigan alum, blackballed him in that interview, and he's been one of the key pieces linking information against Jim Harbaugh because of the power struggle within Michigan.
Wow.
So sabotage twice by the same guy.
Interesting.
So if you're him, you're done. He wins the national championship or not, you're out of there, right? You're getting away from Michigan.
Well, I do, because I think this would be 3 consecutive great years, right? If he could finish in the top 3 consecutive years at Michigan, that puts him at Schembechler type levels. He has brought the program back to heights it hasn't seen in a long time, because that would give him 5 top 10 seasons at Michigan in 9 years. That's good.
Yeah,
that's really good.
That's good at any program, but 3 consecutive top 3 type years would be amazing. So I think he can leave his alma mater with his head held high. If the Raider interim coach struggles, great candidate in Vegas. The Bears job, obviously a great fit as well. He'll have people that will take him in the NFL because 69% looks pretty good to me.
Yep. It's great. Gentlemen, is Michigan, as far as favorites, you guys in your mind, who's going to bring home the trophy? Is it Michigan at the end of the year, or who are you guys thinking here? We know who Action's thinking.
I wouldn't go past. I mean, Georgia hasn't been impressive, but I mean, you got to beat the champion to be the champion.
Yep.
Michigan, like allegedly, one of the stories about Stallions is too that when the college football playoff standings came out last year, the only team he didn't buy a ticket to the game to was TCU, who was actually the team who eliminated Michigan. So like, who knows how much the sign stealing actually does help. Like it would be a huge help if you knew if it was going to be a run or which way the run was going to go, or if it's going to be a pass, but I would say, yeah, I mean, Michigan has been probably the most impressive team by far this season, all scandals aside.
Yep. Put that in there. Action. Who you thinking? You still tagging on Michigan or Texas? Excuse me.
I get the house payment on Texas, but I didn't have them winning the national title. I just had them going over 9.5 wins, 7.5 in the Big 12, winning the Big 12 championship. I did not have the national title. Right now, I want to go Michigan, but there's so many distractions, and you just took away a great coach.
Yep.
This $55,000 guy, I'll tell you what, SEC team should be lining up for this dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, Michigan, Georgia would be a heck of a national championship game. We'll see how it works out, though. You got a lot of talent in the, I watch Washington. I mean, who knows if they can be stopped? We'll find out.
Yep. Got Bama there too. They're playing well. And
they're not dead. They're not dead.
They're not dead either. So Florida State, we haven't mentioned them. They're looking strong as well. 14.5 point favorites against Miami here. That should be an interesting game. But gentlemen, let's get to some games. Let's get some picks. Let's get to some free winners. Obviously, this is the Week 11 Snake Draft. Again, if you're new here, brand new format this year. Every week we do 5 guests. This week, obviously, we have 3 of us. It'll be a 5-round betting snake draft, and each capper must take a spread pick, a money line pick, if favorite, no greater than -300, an over/under pick. Then you have a team total pick, and rounding it off will be a first half total play. After this, gentlemen, we will do honorable mention. If you wanted something that you weren't sure about, but you're going to throw it on your card, we can talk about that after as well. Weekly contests will be had with higher rounds with more units, and the lower rounds worth less. So round 1, 5 units, round 2, 4, you get the gist, all the way down to round 1 with 1 unit there. Week 10 results. Kyle, look at this, 3-2 plus 6.44 units. Beast 2-3 minus 5.09. And Corey, what a start to the season of the college football capper contest. He went 1-3-1 last week, minus 7 units. Last time I was on the show, I don't think anybody used their challenge flag, but each capper gets 1 challenge flag as well, where they can debate any play that they may disagree with, and they can explain why or why not. Gentlemen, let's get into it. Now, I'm not going to share my screen because it should go quick, but I am spinning the wheel. Okay, so if I get first pick, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is true. This is true. And here we go, little spinny action, and we will see who will get the first pick. And it looks like it'll be Mr. Thomas Miller.
Excellent.
All right, and then let's see if we can do this again. The sounds on this wheel are getting me going. Next will be myself, and then at Mr. Action Junkie. So there we go. Thomas, myself, and then Mr. Action Junkie. So, Thomas, what do you have for us here?
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't worried about the order because I'm almost positive none of my picks will be taken by you guys. They never are.
He says that now.
He says that now. I'm going with my first pick of the Week 11 draft. I'm going to take Michigan Penn State under 44.5.
All right, Michigan Penn State under 44 for Thomas in round 1. All right, Thomas, why you like that one?
Just basically, Big Ten unders. Michigan is very, very good. They get talent all over the place. Penn State as well. Penn State has not had really any luck all season with big plays. They kind of dink and dunk around. They overpower teams. They had an amazing run of like over 30 points a game for like it was like the nation's longest streak. I think that got broke, but I mean they're still decent, but they don't have that big play potential. And I think Michigan against a good team is going to kind of want to rely more on ball control and run because that is the pro style offense that Harbaugh runs, and it's just in his DNA, Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, and old NFL guys, Kirk Ferentz, whatever. It's just like the pro style. It is leads into, especially, and then also Big Ten weather. It's really nice all over the Midwest right now, but who knows by the time we get to that game. So yeah, I think that under is a safe bet right there.
All right, Michigan on the road against Penn State. Michigan -4.5 over under. Like Thomas said there. Thomas, I know this isn't a play for you. Maybe it will be down the road, so maybe you don't want to say, but Michigan or Penn State, who would you bet on here to win the game?
Michigan to cover too.
Okay. All right. There we go.
They're Penn State's really good, but Penn State's definitely third best.
Okay. All right.
And like, I think
11 o'clock on Fox. Nice little AM game. All right. Myself, Thomas going with the under there, Michigan, Penn State. I am going to, it's a little juicy. This is why I'm going to throw my 5 unis on it. I am going to take UCLA team total under 31.5. I got it at -135. Obviously, UCLA needs to bounce back here. Scored 10 points against Arizona last week. But Arizona State, another great under team. They've allowed just 32 points or more just once this season. So a little juicy, but I think UCLA wins this game, maybe 30-28, something to 0, 28-7, something like that. So I'm going to take UCLA team total under 31.5 for my first play there. 5 units on that bad boy. All right, Mr. Action Junkie, what do you have for us here?
I think, Pace, last time you and I were together on a podcast, you picked Stanford and you cash it at plus 300 at Colorado or what?
You are correct, sir. I have another insane one coming at you later on. So heads up for that. Little tease there.
Okay. So I, just channeling a little Pace. I'm going to go an aggressive money line here, plus 190. We're going to go the Mountain West Conference. Give me the Wyoming Cowboys on the money line at UNLV. Barry Odom, maybe coach of the year at UNLV. 7-2 overall, 8-1 against the spread. There are 2 upset wins this year, though. A 3-point win over 2-8 Vandy, a 17-point win over 3-7 UTEP. Their resume is not that impressive. It looks good on paper with their wins, but the resume itself isn't that good. Meanwhile, Wyoming, they've been knocking on the door to get that big road victory. They were tied in the fourth quarter at Texas. They were tied in the fourth quarter at Air Force. I think UNLV is a drop in class for them. I think they can get the outright win. So I'll take Wyoming plus the 190 on the money line.
I love it because I also had this circled as my second favorite. So I will be tailing Mr. Action Junkie on this one as well. So yeah, UNLV, great against the spread team. But like you said, Action, their wins just not real great. Not a good resume. All right, Thomas, what do you have here for round 2?
I get to come back. It's a snake.
Look at that. I'm not the original host of the show, as you could tell. Yes, we're coming back with Mr. Action Junkie. That's right. It is the snake draft, correct? Yeah, there we go. All right.
There we go. Give me Virginia Tech minus the 1.5 at Boston College. Once again, another team that's red hot. Boston College has won, 5 straight. They have the better record, and yet they're the home underdog. That tells me all I need to know. Short number, bet Va Tech. If they have the worst record, they're not playing as well. It just sets up here. BC has actually given up 6.11 yards per play this year. I think Virginia Tech, they've struggled on the road this year. I think they can move the football. So I'll lay the 1.5 with the Hokies on the road.
There we go. I love it. All right. Virginia Tech for 4 units there. All right. Up next here. Oh, man. What do I want to do? I mean, so last time I was on the show, Mr. Action Junkie kind of brought it up. I took Stanford in this spot, right? Money line against Colorado. They were down early. They came back. Just a hell of a game. Maybe one of my most favorite. It is my most favorite game of the year. Obviously, it took Stanford money line. Come on now. So I'm going to do this because I have to follow it up. I'm going to take Rice money line plus 478 as my major underdog here. Rice very good against the spread this season at 7-2. UTSA has given up 20 or more points in 4 last 5 games. I think this could be a higher scoring game that Rice can stay with UTSA. So give me Rice money line plus 478 over there at Better Edge for my second round pick here. 4 units and hoping I can get that Cardinal energy with the Rice Owls. We'll see what happens. All right, Thomas, what do you have here for your second round pick?
I'm gonna use up my first half play. I'm gonna take Florida State minus 7.5 on the first half line against Miami. Rivalry game. Florida State, very good. They have not really faltered too much. I don't know if they've been down more than like 3 or 4 minutes of game time this entire season. And I don't think they'll go down against Miami. I think it's going to be kind of a high scoring thing. And I think they'll get up early and I think they'll dominate. And so I can get this at even money, plus 100. So I'm going to go Florida State first half minus 7.5.
All right. Can we buy that down to 7? I'd love that. You know,
Give that push a chance.
Give that push, baby. All right, Thomas, round 3. Now that I know that is a snake draft, you're up next.
All right. So I used the first half and then over under. Use I mean, logic would have said to use this as my 5-unit pick. Since I have it marked as possibly my lock of the week. I'm gonna go Oklahoma State minus 2.5 at UCF. Like, it's one of those lines. I think we're starting to get to that point where if you notice a line that doesn't make sense to you, an example of one of those that I saw last week was Penn State at Maryland. It was only 8.5. Penn State is obviously much better than Maryland. This is the same thing I'm seeing with Oklahoma State. I don't think last week was a fluke. They have that running back who split time or was like a three-way running back system and rushed for like less than 100 yards in the first 3 games. And he's got like a legit shot at getting 2,000 yards. I think Oklahoma State really has it rolling. They're going to get to the Big 12 championship game. They might be Texas in that game. So yeah, I mean, Oklahoma State minus 2.5 at UCF. That's going to be my 3rd round pick.
All right. I love it. Get that down. That's on the road, Thomas, you said, right?
Yeah, it's in Orlando.
All right, there we go. My round 3 pick here, 3 units. I'm going to take Baylor K-State under 28.5 at even money. K-State coming off, obviously, an emotional overtime loss to Texas. Baylor scored 6 points, ladies and gentlemen. 6 points over the last 4 first half quarters. Give me the under here. And, hey, 4 touchdowns. I could take 4 touchdowns and still win. How about that? So I'm going to take the under here, 28.5. Like we said, K-State, emotional. This is kind of one of my favorite, how I kind of look at games sometimes. Find teams coming off emotional wins or losses. And then Baylor, they can't score in the first half anyway. So we're going to take the under here, 28.5 at even money over there at Better Edge. Mr. Action Junkie, ding, ding, you're up.
Ding, ding. How low can we go? Just give me Iowa Rutgers game under 28.5.
All right, 28.
I don't know how low these numbers are going to go. I mean, are we talking a number in the teens at some point this year for them?
Yeah, there was a time where like it seemed like, because like, you know, they all use algorithms and like mathematics, and they were still pumping out Iowa over unders at like 38 or 41 or something, you know, because that's what the number said. But like finally it seems like there was like a manager like standing over these computers and they're like, come on, dude, like we gotta put this thing
10.
lower.
Yeah,
we gotta put it lower. We gotta put it like 28, you know. Northwestern opened at what would have been the lowest ever. It actually went higher than the Minnesota Iowa game last year. This one we'll see. I mean, if people start Sharp start hammering the over, it could get over 30, but it probably won't go over 30. I mean, if it is, the Rutgers blowout. So hopefully it doesn't. For my sake.
For your sake, yes,
Yeah.
Thomas. All right. Back to
well,
you,
my
Action.
only other comment on that is, can we just put the Iowa games in black and white TV? Because I mean, it turned back the clock to the 40s or 30s or whatever. My fourth round pick, I am going to go East Carolina, which, believe it or not, third lowest scoring team in the country, only 14.4 points per game. They're on the road at Boca at Florida Atlantic. I'm going to play the under 17.5 there for the team total on East Carolina.
All right.
I know Florida Atlantic gave up a ton last week to UAB, but this one's at home. I expect a much different result.
All right. Good. All right. 2 picks left here for myself. I have an over I need to take, and I must have a team total. Yes, I have a spread, excuse me. Gosh, I like this spread, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna take over here. It's my favorite over on the board. Vandy, South Carolina, over 58, plus 101 at better edge. Vandy, strong over team this season. South Carolina obviously been sliding a little bit, but coming off a win against Jacksonville State. The Gamecocks obviously haven't won a ton of games. These teams are both dead last in the SEC East there, but 4-2 to the over in their last 6. The Gamecocks are. So I'm gonna take the over and hope for some points here. I actually thought about Vandy money line, but I was like, I can't do that. That's just dumb. So I'm gonna take the over here.
Yeah,
I like that play. At that on my list.
All right.
South Carolina, yeah, I love it too. South Carolina is probably the nation's worst defense.
Yes, absolutely. So that's why I was like, maybe Vandy can win. I don't know, put up some points, but maybe them on the team total isn't a bad look either. We can circle back on that. But Thomas, your 4th round pick here.
4th round pick. I'm going to the team that's back. Dabo got him playing again.
Ooh.
I'm not a Clemson fan. I'm not a Dabo fan, but I watched like pretty much all of that game, and they look like the Clemson of old on defense. They convinced me against Notre Dame, and then we got Georgia Tech sitting here. Their team total of 20.5. Georgia Tech having a great season for them. Amazing season, honestly. They just beat the crap out of Virginia, which everybody does. Virginia, possibly only team in Power 5 to never stop somebody on 3rd down, I think. I don't think they've had one single 3rd down stop the entire season. But so I think Clemson is back enough to hold Georgia Tech under 20.5 points. So I'm going Georgia Tech team total under 20.5 at minus 115.
All right. I love it. All right, Thomas, round 5. What do you have for us? 1 unit play here.
So I made an adjustment because I don't want to sound like a dummy on the show because you guys are both so high on Wyoming. I was actually high on UNLV. So I made an in-game switch here and actually took UNLV completely out of my card. And this is a little prelude to my upset of the week. So I'm going to put 1 unit on USC money line at plus 625.
All right.
I think if there's a team that is capable of pulling off an upset, that, I mean, if you were in a 15-point favorite, a team you would not want to see standing across the sideline is USC.
Yep.
New defensive coordinator, great quarterback. Yeah, I like that play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. I love it. I love these big numbers that we're throwing out. I love that. Mm-hmm. All right. My final play here of the snake draft for week 11. And basically, just forget the last about 2 minutes, everything Thomas just said. I like Oregon. Here. So give me the Ducks. I got them at here. Let's see, minus 15. Obviously, I would have liked that. Minus 14 looks a little better. Better betting number. But, I got to see it. Stop somebody, USC. Stop somebody. I'll ride with the Ducks. I think the Ducks are on a mission here. Bo Nix looking great. So I don't know. I'm gonna take Oregon, and I know this is a late game. That's why I was like, I hate it. But 1 unit, when I looked at the board, I'm like, I like Oregon. Oregon, USC, I just have to see it from you. And Oregon, they're flying around. So I'm gonna take the Ducks here. All right, Action, finish us. That's a terrible sentence. I'm not gonna say that. Finish the draft off. How about that?
All right, here we go. I have to do a first half total, and I'm going to do Sam Houston at Louisiana Tech under the 24.5. Sam Houston, they finally got their first win last week, so congrats to them. Offensively, they've turned it on in conference a little bit, but they still only average 16 points per game. And defensively, they're solid. I haven't been impressed with Louisiana Tech either, so I'll play the under 24.5 in the first half.
All right. I was looking at that one as well. A little 1 unit play. All right. There we go. So, gentlemen, do you want to go through the draft? Is that what Kyle loves to do? Does he like to do that? We can do that. All right. So I'll go my plays here. First, actually, Thomas, we'll start with you. You had the number 1 pick.
Okay. I'm going to say him.
I got him here. Yep. I'm just trying to collect my thoughts here. I got a lot of words in front of me. But all right, Thomas, round 1, 5 units, Michigan, Penn State under 44.5, correct, Thomas?
Yeah.
All right, there we go. His second round pick was Florida State, minus 7.5 first half for 4 units. His third round pick for 3 units, OK State. You're not the only one on the Cowboys here this week, Thomas, at minus 2.5. Round 4 for 2 units. He is taking Georgia Tech, team total under 20.5. And round 1, USC moneyline, plus 625 for Don Thomas Miller there on Twitter. Myself, round 1, 5 units. I took UCLA team total under 31.5. Round 2 for 4 units, took Rice moneyline. Got to get that Cardinal Magic in there. So Rice moneyline. Round 3 for 3 units, I took your Baylor K-State under 20.5 in the first half, even money. Round 4. Let's see. I had, my over Vanderbilt, South Carolina over 58 at plus 101. And in round 1, going opposite of Thomas, the last round for 1 unit, opposite of Thomas, I like the Ducks minus 15. Mr. Action Junkie, you went with the Wyoming Cowboys right off the bat, plus 190 against UNLV. Then you took, Va Tech at plus 1.5, correct? In round 3 for 3 units, Mr. Action Junkie took the Iowa Rutgers under 28.5. Love that. Round 4, then he went with the ECU team total under 17.5. And the final round, he went with Sam Houston State and LA Tech first half under 24.5. I think I got those correct, gentlemen.
Just one mistake in my Va Tech. I'm actually laying 1.5 instead of plus 1.5. But if you want to give me the plus 1.5, that's fine. I'll take it.
I'm a nice enough guy, but you'll have to bring that up with Kyle. So you can debate that with Mr.
Hey, on Better Edge.
There we go. Better Edge. Right on. Like I said, last week results, Kyle was 3-2 plus 6.44 units. Beast 2-3 minus 5.09 units. Corey 1-3-1 and minus 7 units flat. No challenge flags here today, gentlemen. Let's get into our upset of the week. I'll start with the guys that aren't here. Kyle is going to go with, this can't be right, Oklahoma State minus 2.5. That can't be right.
That's his lock of the week.
Look at that. That's his lock of the week. Here we go. His upset is Sam Houston State over LA Tech. I just had those switched up. So he's going to take the Bearcats with a K over LA Tech. And then his lock of the week is Oklahoma State minus 2.5. For Corey, his upset of the week, Utah moneyline. He's taking the Utes there for his upset of the week. And then his lock of the week is anyone surprised? Nebraska, Maryland under 45 for his lock of the week. There we go.
He's consistent.
He is consistent, and I love that. All right, gentlemen, let's get into it. Thomas, we'll start with you. You had the number 1 pick. What is your upset of the week?
I mentioned it already. I have a feeling I really like to. I won't step on anybody if they're gonna do it. I'll bring it up when we get done. If not, if nobody says it, but I'm gonna go with USC. I just think they got nothing to lose kind of thing, they're playing with house money. You can create whatever other metaphors you want, for it. I just think everybody wants to see, most of the country wants to see that rematch of Oregon being like 11-1 and Washington being 12-0 in the Pac-12 championship, which would be an amazing game. Don't get me wrong. But I think USC, they've just been on the wrong side of things too many times this year. And I think there's something about it. There's something about it that I think they go and pull this one off this week.
All right. I love it. Action, what do you think for your upset of the week?
I think everyone forgot that Deion Sanders is even coaching. I'm going Colorado to upset Arizona. Jed Fish has killed me this year. I think I've lost like 7 bets fading Arizona. But this guy, once again, was our Gopher offensive coordinator. He destroyed my quarterback in his 1 year. So I still hold a grudge. So I'm going to cheer for Colorado and Neon Dion to get the win over Arizona.
I love it. Action. I'd listen to him. If you're watching here, he has won 4 of these upset of the weeks. He leads, tied for second. Beast and Kyle at 2, and Thomas. Excuse me, can't forget the old Thomas boy here at 2, and then Corey at 5 with 1, and not ranked as PG with 0. I'm taking Rice money line. They've lost 13 straight to UTSA. I think they have a chance here to get back in this with some offense. So I'm going to take Rice money line at plus 478 there. Also my 4-unit play. So I don't know. We'll see if I can bring some of that luck that we had with Stanford. You never know. But I love the big numbers. So we'll take the big numbers. All right, Action. We'll start with you now here on the lock of the week. 8-2, baby. 8-2, man. That's great. What are you going with your lock of the week this week?
Well, I played 5 units on them on the money line, so I got to grab the points now. Wyoming plus the 5.5 at UNLV. If they lose this football game, I'm a little scared that Thomas was going to go UNLV. He's had head-to-head, he's been beating me, but I really like the Cowboys in this spot. I think Craig Bohl, I looked this up. Craig Bohl is actually at Wyoming, 18-50 on the road, and he only has 1 win over a team with a winning record. He's been talking about that a lot. And I think this game means a lot to them. Wyoming still has a path as well to the Mountain West Conference Championship game. They obviously have to win out. UNLV is one of the teams in their way. The Pokes are going to get it done. Plus the 5.5, though, I grab.
All right. Sounds good. We'll get that noted. Right on. Thomas, lock of the week, baby.
Okay, baby. I'm tailing Kyle since you already leaked that.
Yep.
I'm gonna go Oklahoma State. Like I said, when I mentioned it on my snake draft, I really think this is like a very confusing line to me. UCF is not a very, very great team. I guess they played Oklahoma tight. I don't know. I mean, but I really think Oklahoma State has things figured out. I think with transfer portal, the new guys they had coming in and stuff, they had like kind of a shaky September. I believe they lost to South Alabama, right?
33-7. But hey, to your point, Mike Gundy, I mean, what a job. I mean, I wrote Oklahoma State off as a team that may not even make a bowl game. And heck, now they could be in the Big 12 championship game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, that's my lock of the week. Looking back on it, probably should have put 5 units on it, but I put 3, whatever. But yeah, Oklahoma State is my lock of the week. -2.5.
-2.5. All right. Right, gentlemen, Ollie will wrap it up here. I'm going to take Stanford on the road against Oregon State as my lock. +21. The Cardinal have obviously treated me very well. They're coming off a 3-point win, 10-7 over Washington State. The Beavers really haven't looked great, right? The last 2 weeks, lost to Arizona by 3, 27-24. And then Colorado, they won by 7, a touchdown, but they struggled with them there. And I know it's Colorado and all that jazz, but give me Stanford, who's playing a little better to end the year here. 2 wins in the last 4 games. I think they can keep this within 3 touchdowns. I'm not saying they'll win, but I think they can keep this within 3 touchdowns. So we'll take Stanford as my lock of the week. Gentlemen, honorable mention. Is there anything in the snake draft you thought about taking, you didn't, or anything you really wanted to stay away from and let people know? Action, we'll start with you.
As much as I talked about Michigan, I would actually grab Penn State plus the points.
Okay.
I think Michigan gets a scare. I think maybe Michigan wins it by like 3, but it wouldn't shock me if Penn State finally gets over the hurdle and actually gets the win in that football game. It wouldn't shock me. So I would lean towards Penn State this week.
Yep, at home. I like that as well. Thomas, any honorable mention plays for you?
Yeah, I'm looking at what is possibly the game of the week. Ole Miss at Georgia. Ole Miss, I believe, is 6-2 against the spread, 7-1 overall. 11-point dogs heading into Athens. It's a 6 Central, so 7 Eastern. So night game in Athens. I think they can keep it close and possibly win. It's kind of between them and USC as my upset of the week. I kind of like that. Also, yeah, we'll just go that one.
All right.
That's my honorable mention.
My honorable mention, gentlemen, I'm going to take, and I haven't added this to my card yet because I'm not sure if Jaden Daniels is going to be back. I know we got concussion protocol, all that, but LSU first half team total over 20.5 at plus money. That's a play that I like. Florida obviously gives up a ton of points, but just kind of depends if they Could go with Daniels. I'll jump on that. But if they don't, I think it's going to be the redshirt sophomore kid. So I don't love that. So if Daniels is a go, I'm all over that LSU first half team total over 20.5. 3 touchdowns against Florida. Give it to me. There we go. All right, gentlemen. Any other closing thoughts, hot takes, any top teams going down that we haven't mentioned this week?
Not really. I will say, a common thing I've been saying, free James Madison. I was reading on one of the bottom lines this morning that they put in an appeal on Monday to be able to play in a bowl game. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that for whatever reason, from moving from FCS to FBS, the NCAA wants to give them 2 years of like probation or like waiting time. They're gonna be 12-0 I think they can play in the conference championship game. I'm not 100% sure. I think they can. Possibly 13-0 and not go to a bowl game. That would be absolutely ridiculous. But we all know the NCAA, and my thoughts are that they're not going to let them. They're not going to change their minds. But
they've never let a college basketball team in, right? Because in basketball, it's a 5-year transition period where you can't go to the big dance, and it's crazy where teams get to play in the conference tournament championship game, win or lose. The loser the other team gets to go. So yeah, I don't see him overruling that rule, but I think the rule is a joke. But like you said, it's the NCAA. What do we expect?
Yeah, I have no idea like what the thought process is behind it. It's not like they're going down. If they're going down a division, I can understand that. If you're going from FBS to FCS, I understand. Like, yeah, get 5 years to get all like your like top
good
talent
player.
out there. Yeah, but I mean, I don't get it at all. Like, I have no idea what they're thinking. But
it's got to be about player safety, right? I mean, no, I'm just kidding.
Right. Student athletes.
Yep. One of the most, this isn't football related, but one of the most electric bets, Action Junkie kind of brought it up to make, is when you have a team in the conference championship that can't go. If they win, they're done. It doesn't matter win or lose. That's one of the most electric bets because, are they going to play? Hell yeah, they're going to play. Hell yeah, they're going to play.
Wasn't there like a 15 or 14 or 16 seed or something last year that either played really good in their first round game that like they didn't win their tournament? It was like that sort of thing. I think it was last year. I can't remember. I don't remember, but it'd be better if I knew what I was talking about. But I could have just created that in my mind too. I don't know.
No, well, yeah, there's a lot of things that have happened crazy in the college basketball tournaments. That's for sure. With teams that weren't eligible, eliminating others. But I did forget about one bet that I like, and this is only offshore. I haven't found it, obviously, at any of the main other books. But Iowa Rutgers, no team to score in at least one quarter. That's like my lock of the year.
What's the odds on that action?
It's a minus 140.
Okay.
But I mean, you're telling me that we're going to have scoring in all 4 quarters of an Iowa game?
Yeah,
I don't buy it.
Yep.
I think at least one of the quarters, there's no point scored.
Yep.
So Pace, I don't know how much equity you have in your house, but could you quickly get that line of credit for me so I can borrow it? And I'm going to put it on that sucker.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I love those bets as well. I wish we could use those for the snake draft, but we can't. So, Thomas, USC. I know you love USC. I also think that I might also just hammer the Ducks because I like the Ducks, but then I also might just hammer a bunch of like Caleb Williams props, just for the hell of it. Because if they do end up winning, he's going to go off, right? So, Ducks lose, he hopefully go off. So I don't know what there's out there, but I did see over 2.5 touchdowns, and alt line was I think it was like minus 115. So, but there we go. Yeah, all right, gentlemen, that's the show. Next week you'll be back to your regular programming. I hope. Kyle probably won't let me back on to host, but you never know. So we'll see. So, gentlemen, best of luck. Of course, that's Mr. Action Junkie 1 on Twitter, at Don Thomas Miller on Twitter. This is week 11. Episode 12 of the Kota Capper College Football Central show. Gentlemen, best of luck, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.